the thing with coaching, the thing with sales or real estate, anything that you're doing, they're not buying the training. They're not buying my knowledge. They're buying into me because they think that I'm the guy that's finally going to get them to reach their goals. And so whenever I do my programming, whenever I do my check-ins, that's what I have to keep in mind. I'm like, hey, I am empowering this person to be able to have the skills and the tools so that they can do this on their own. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, it is very, impactful because people can tell when you are actually have genuine care and concern for their goals and for their life. And so, totally. That comes across in my conviction, and that comes across in the way that I speak to them, and it comes across in the way that I encourage them. And, more often than not, people just need somebody to believe in them more than they believe in themselves.
I 100% agree with you.
What's the deal with all those old school real estate agents teaching outdated marketing techniques and living in the past? This show is about fresh ideas in real estate, diving deep into marketing, design, home renovations, and business development. But we also talk about lifestyle, health, travel, and just living an incredible life. Because the fastest way to financial freedom and fun is through real estate. It's time to build up your real estate business, serve way more clients, and have a blast doing it.
All right, hey guys, how's it going? It's Seth Struxma. We're here with another episode of What's the Deal? And we have a good friend of mine, my trainer, my good friend, Austin Santee. He is not only my fitness trainer, but he's also a Ph.D. candidate in
industrial organizational psychology.
There we go. And we will dive into that. But not only is he just a physical trainer, he's also a model, a really cool guy, and someone who I really enjoy spending time with. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be here and surrounded by such a good team. And then also, to be in such a beautiful environment. Our usual TG dungeon doesn't necessarily live up.
This guy already starts off with like compliments and just like a happy, positive mindset. It's always like this. So thanks for coming on the show. It's really nice that you did this. So, today we're going to dive deep about some things that you really specialize in and that we've kind of already talked about in general, just when we work out together. And, we've talked about this kind of jumping right into it, but, just the benefits of physical fitness, working out, a routine, just how it really benefits so many people. If someone's out there who's just kind of like, hey, you know what? Like, I hear you. I get the benefits. I understand, and this is really good for me, but like, I don't know where the heck to start. I don't know what the heck to do. Like, I'm just kind of getting going. What would you say, and how would you say to kind of get things going if that was your goal coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great question. And it's where all of us begin, right? Like when I first started my journey in the fitness weight room, I was insecure and I lacked confidence, and I did it because I had several injuries, and I was like, this is going to make me stronger and this is going to make me more of a man. And I got there and I was intimidated and I was ignorant. I didn't know what I was doing. And the irony was I just kind of kept going, and it's cool when you get into something when you're younger, because you have that blind ignorance of like, hey, this is hard, but it's not so difficult to where I'm going to give up. Mm-hmm. And so what I would say to people that are just getting started is don't focus so much on the end goal. Focus on what's right in front of you. Hey, instead of worrying about being 30 pounds lighter, or instead of worrying about becoming the next fitness guru, worry about showing up every day. Worry about just the baby steps that you can take. It's like, so one of my first clients, they were complete transformation. I was like, hey, all you need to do is show up to the gym. If you can just show up to the gym, take that one initial first step, then you can start to be like, okay, well, I'm already here, so I might as well change. And then once you're like, I already changed, so I might as well, go and get something in. And so it's this escalation of commitment that happens in psychology. The more committed to something you become, the more you take on that identity. And so it's like, once you start showing up for yourself, whether it be fitness or anything in your life, you become more committed to that new identity. Mm-hmm. And something like hiring a trainer, you're investing your assets, you're investing your income, you're investing money and time into, hey, I want this new identity of health. And so I think that that's the number one thing that I would love for people to realize is it's so much more about your health than it is about the way that you look,
I guess, even break it down, like I'm just thinking of people off the top of my head, they've been busy and they want to get back into it. It's like down to the basics. So what the heck do I do? How do I even get started? Sure, there's a gym down the street, but what are the basics? Showing up is great, but what's after that, I guess?
Yeah, of course. I think that when I first start with people, I tell them it's the ABCs of fitness, right? So it's accountability, balance, and consistency. And so you need to find a way to hold yourself accountable. And this is true with any habit, right? Like find a way that's going to make sure that you actually do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And so some people are really good at holding themselves accountable. They'll show up and they'll put in the work and they can hold themselves accountable. Some people need a gym partner, somebody who's going to push them and show up and, hey, I'm going to show up because you are counting on me to show up, so I will show up. Some people need a trainer. Some people need somebody who's going to be there, who's going to like provide that energy, provide that motivation, provide that education. And if you can afford that, then that's a great way to get started. Some people just need a friend. And so it's like, hey, I'm going to call you on my way to the gym every day. And if you can just have that one person that holds you accountable, whether that's yourself or somebody else, or, you know, even online training now is a very good option. And then balance. So everybody thinks that like, oh, once I start going to the gym, like I got to start doing everything in the gym. And it's like, no, that's the fastest way to lead to burnout. You know, like if you completely overhaul your lifestyle and you're doing cardio 6 days a week and you're working out 6 days a week and you're saying no to all your friends and all the events, then what's the point? At that point, you're getting so caught up doing fitness that you forget to live your life.
Well, that's too much. That's too much. Yep. That's too much. That's like way like I hear what you're saying about like people just get so committed. You touched on online coaching. What exactly? So there's apps that you can use to work out. You know, those are probably easy. And I don't know if you recommend any of them, but like, what's online coaching? What is that?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's multiple aspects of an online coach, but what's great about doing online coaching is it provides cheaper access to people all over the globe. So at that point, now you can really truly work with whoever it is that you want to work with. So I had a client when I first started doing online coaching that was from Switzerland. And I was like, dude, how did you find me?
Yeah. I mean, I'm good looking, but damn, how did I find?
He had an incredible story. He was a Ph.D., a doctor, a medical doctor, in his late 50s. And he's like, dude, I saw one of your videos on Instagram. It really resonated with me. He's like, I'm getting out of being a physical doctor, going from med school into psychiatry, and I'm learning how to become a psychiatrist, but I'm starting to realize that I'm getting older. My kids are also getting older. And like, I don't want my poor health to be the limiting factor of me being able to spend time with my kids as I age. And I firmly believe that the signs of a truly successful life are how frequently your kids want to come visit you and spend time with you when you're an adult.
So what does that online coaching look like? Like what exactly, do you create a workout plan for them? Like what is online coaching?
Yeah, no idea. I mean, it's a great question. So for anybody who's just getting started, the biggest problem or the biggest like mindset block is, what do I do? Right. Like they get into the gym and it's overwhelming. There's all these machines. They don't know like what to do or what is the most important thing for them to focus on. And so when you work with a trainer or when you work with an expert, what happens is they're able to digest all of that hard stuff and like basically give you the answer to your problems. And it's like, hey, I'm going to make this as effective and efficient as possible for you by giving you exactly what you need to do for your goals. So the first part of it is going to be like, hey, what are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals in fitness? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to gain weight? And more often than not, what happens is once you start asking these questions, they start to understand like, hey, what I'm trying to really do is just show up in my everyday life as the best version of me. And so more often than not, they don't have strict body goals. Like they're not like, I don't want a six pack. They just want to be able to run around and play with their kids. They just want to be able to tie their shoe without like hurting in the morning, you know? And so once you start to really tap into like their why, it's really easy as a coach to help hold them accountable and to continue to coax them along, because you can tap into the reasoning, the rationale for why they're trying to do whatever it is they're trying to do.
Got it.
And then in your programming, what you're going to do is like, hey, I'm going to give you the best exercises for you to be able to accomplish your goals, so that when you go to the gym, you don't have to think about it, right? When you come in to train with me, the best part is I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I just show up and I know that I'm going to get a great workout in that's going to help me get my goals, and that it's going to push me, and then it's going to make me show up better and have more energy in every other aspect of my life.
Got it. Okay. So there's like a workout plan, identify the goals, whatever it is, a workout plan, and then just probably like a check-in or something. Right?
Yeah. So it's basically a workout plan, a workout program, right? Because there's three facets basically of fitness. It's like workouts, nutrition, and then consistency or mindset, recovery, however you want to look at that. So basically what I would say, it's 33% nutrition, 33% workouts, and 33% recovery, but it's 100% of all of it. So if you're missing one of those three pillars, then you're going to fail because you're not fully invested in the process of getting fit. And so you need to make sure that you're maximizing your workouts, maximizing your nutrition, and maximizing your recovery. And the way that you do that is by ensuring that you are doing the right things for that process. So one of the things I say is it's, effort matters, but knowing where to make the effort makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that, hey, this program is going to be the best thing for me to hit my goals takes all the guesswork out of it. And that's the point of working with an online coach. It's like, hey, I'm going to give you my 13 years of experience and allow you to take that and maximize the efficiency of your workouts, and then know that you're doing the right thing and you're showing up because I'm going to be paying attention to make sure that you are showing up. And then, yes, there's a layer of that accountability of like, hey, text me when you get lost. Like, I'm your health and wellness consultant. Or, hey, check in when you feel like you're losing motivation, or when you feel like you need to take that next step in your fitness journey and you don't know which direction to go.
That sounds like a really good option for a lot of people who are just like, maybe I don't want to or can't afford to have a trainer, but it's like, it's something for me to just get committed to it a little bit more than just showing up at the gym. Like, I've seen online coaching on all these like hot ripped guys' abs, Instagrams, and it's like, what is online coaching? Like, what is all this? Like, what is all this going on? And so I've always wondered, like, does it work? I mean, does it actually work? Or is it, just kind of like, here's a plan and you have to follow it, but people don't really follow it. I mean, in your experience, do people actually follow it? Or is it like, I don't know. I've tried to follow apps and it just doesn't work for me. So yeah, I don't know.
And I'm sure you've realized this in real estate and in everything that you've done, because you're very successful and you understand that what matters most is the people. And so my online fitness is called tribe coaching because I genuinely care about my clients, and I probably care about their results more than they care about their own results, because for them, more often than not, they're just trying to show up. Like, that's a win in their eyes.
Yeah.
So the thing with coaching, the thing with sales or real estate, anything that you're doing, they're not buying the training. They're not buying my knowledge. They're buying into me because they think that I'm the guy that's finally going to get them to reach their goals. I'm the one that's finally going to get them to start going to the gym every single day. And so whenever I do my programming, whenever I do my check-ins, that's what I have to keep in mind. I'm like, hey, I am empowering this person to be able to have the skills and the tools so that they can do this on their own. And so, yes, it is very, impactful, because people can tell when you are actually have genuine care and concern for their goals and for their life. And so,
Totally.
That comes across in my conviction, and that comes across in the way that I speak to them, and it comes across in the way that I encourage them. And, more often than not, people just need somebody to believe in them more than they believe in themselves.
I 100% agree with you. Because like, when I do work out with you, I can sense you actually care about the workout. You're actually like, okay, do it like this, and then do it, and you're paying attention, and I can feel like this guy actually cares that I look good this summer. Like, it's like, just, you're actually investing more than just kind of being present, and I love that. It helps me work out better too. So I can understand why the app or the online coaching helps, or at least for you, because you're so invested into the people, into the clients that you have. It's like, okay, cool. Like, this guy actually cares.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to ask, Sam had some great questions here.
Totally. I think, you hit on a very good word there, and that was presence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if people can tap into that more, whether they're more present in their social life, whether they're more present in their relationships, whether they're more present at work, they're going to be significantly more happy, and they're going to get significantly better results, because they're no longer worrying about what's happened in the past. They're no longer worrying about that future desired outcome. They're able to just be in the moment, and they're able to enjoy the person that's right there in front of them, and they're able to enjoy the workout that they're putting themselves through, that they know they're going to benefit from now and far into the future. So I think if you can just master one of those like soft skills, so to speak, presence is one of those that's just like,
let's tap into that a little bit more. I mean, like, on the show, we're not just about real estate. We're talking about mindfulness and fitness, and really kind of making yourself a completely well-rounded, healthy individual, whether it's business, fitness, mental health, whatever it is. I mean, what are some things that you've noticed that really help just overall with like clarity and mental health and just making you an overall better person? I mean, yes, working out is great, but like, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to like tap deeper into what are some other things that you've noticed that work well for people to excel or get better. Because I mean, when you're working out with or working with your clients, and these are like top performing people, and I'm sure you've heard or helped or figured out some things that like really do help people not just in the fitness realm, but professionally or in the mental health sphere. So I'm just trying to understand if you know much more about that, or if you can help us with that more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, and there's so many different directions that we can go with that, right? And so, what's interesting to me is that fitness is one of those things that's like a gateway drug to other healthy habits, right? So if you're working out, you're not going to stay out late. You're not going to go out and drink and stuff the night before you have to go get up early for a workout. So it has this like compounding effect of you being able to be like, hey, I'm going to work out in the morning, so I'm not going to go out tonight. I'm going to actually sleep in. And then you stack up enough of those days to where you actually look forward to, hey, I'm looking forward to now going and getting this workout in, right? And so what's great about working out or fitness in general, and I wish that more people understood, or not even necessarily understood, because I think it's well understood, I wish more people spoke about, is it's so much more for your mental health and well-being than it ever will be for the way that you look. The way that you look is just a side effect.
Can you say that again? Because a lot of people don't understand that.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
I don't feel like the same person until after I've had my workout in the day. And it's just a baseline. It's just a little bit. But like sometimes I'll get to like 3, 4 in the afternoon. I'm feeling sluggish, a little bit run down, a little bit less like positive than I normally am. And then I'll work out, and then I'm perked back to where I was. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I thought I was depressed, but what happened is I just did my workout.
Just go lift some weights. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, there's a meme that goes around. It's like a caveman picks up a heavy rock, puts heavy rock down, all my problems go away. And it's like, that's how fitness works. It's like, hey, you're doing something really hard, and it's causing your body to go through this like healthy stress.
Yeah.
And when you put yourself in those situations where you're undergoing healthy stress, and then you make it out to the other side alive, it builds you as a person. And so like, not only are you building your body, but you're building your mindset, and you're building your resilience, and you're building your discipline, and you're building your self-confidence every single time you go to the gym, every single time you eat a healthier meal, every single time you opt to get 8 hours of sleep as opposed to staying up and binging Netflix and eating whatever it is that you want.
Yeah.
And so
you touched on exactly what I was hoping you were going to say. It's just that this isn't just going to the gym. This is, you're more mindful about your overall being, like your mind, your whole diet, your sleep, and how you present yourself to the world. Fitness is a huge component of that. And I think a lot of people oversee that, like, oh, I work out. It's like, yeah, you may work out, but like you may just go to the gym. That like you may have showed up, but you need to actually do it. And that's why, like the online coaching or a buddy or a personal trainer is so helpful. But you're right. Like once you get into it, you're like, yeah, I don't want to go out tonight. I don't want to go drink. I don't want to go party and do that one thing, that music festival this weekend. It's like, yeah, because you have these goals and you know that it's not worth it anymore to your mental well-being or your career goals to go do that. And I think, it's all fun. We love to have a good time. I actually love having a good time.
Well,
but like, it's like sometimes it's like the things take precedent, and that is important, I think.
So I love that you said that and you articulated that so well. And it's honestly probably the number one thing that I love about you is that you understand that life is so much more than just fitness, so much more than just business. It's an experience that's meant to be lived. And so the thing with fitness, the thing with working out, the thing with eating well, the thing with going to bed on time is not doing it all the time. It's the fact that you do it most of the time. So the times that you don't do it, you don't feel guilty. I can have a large pizza and not feel guilty because 90% of the time I'm eating well. Not 100% of the time I'm in the gym, right? I can go to that music festival and not feel guilty or feel like bad about it because I've worked out all week. I know I'm going to get in the gym on Monday. I'm going to go and I'm going to have a great time with my friends and I'm going to have fun. And I'm not going to feel guilty about it because I know that I'm showing up in every other area of my life the way that I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
So
it's like what you said, it's balance too.
Yes.
I mean, like, I think, there's this mentality about like crushing it. Let's just like, grind. Like that's all we're going to do.
David Goggins.
Like,
yeah, absolutely. Who's going to carry the boats?
Yeah, like, it's like every day I'm in the gym for 12 hours. It's like, it's not going to do you any good. It's like you have there's more to life than living than, looking jacked. And I mean,
no,
it's not a bad thing, but
right.
It's like, there's balance. You need to have balance. And, I especially have thought about that a lot. It's like, there's more than just going to a party. There's more than just the gym. There's more than just work. you need to have a balance in life. And I think that's so important because, you know, when one area begins to kind of fall, you feel internally like, oh, there's something off. Like, what's wrong with me right now? And I work with this other coach, a life coach. Her name is Angie Wisdom. And
Beautiful.
yeah, and I've mentioned her too.
Yeah.
And, you know, we did this core values assessment in the very beginning.
I want to hear your core values.
Oh, I will share them. Very me. So when oh yeah, but like we did this core values thing, and flash forward a couple years later, and I'm like, Angie, I just feel like really off, like something's wrong. And she pulls out my core values thing from like 2 years prior, and she's like, have you been doing this? Have you been doing this? What about this? And I'm like, no, I haven't been doing that. No, I haven't. And it's like I lost the balance. I lost the kind of being aligned with core values, and fitness was one of them. And I was like, yeah, I haven't been really pursuing the gym as much as I used to. And that's actually when I reached out to you.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to make a change. Like, I need to make a change. And because something's not going right.
The way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, thank you.
I love that. No, absolutely. I love that. And thank you for sharing. You know, I think that that's the stuff that people need to hear is like, hey, we're not always 100% on all the time. Like as humans, like that's not what our job is. We're human beings, not human doings. Right.
Mm.
And so like, sometimes you have to like take a look in the mirror and you have to be like, what's truly important to me?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've done this same exercise and I love this exercise because you're absolutely right. You get to like frame every single decision up against your core values. And it's like, so if it doesn't like blend with empowerment, if it doesn't blend with authenticity, if it doesn't blend with connection, then it's not for me because I'm not going to sacrifice my long-term like happiness for short-term gratification.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, when we act out of alignment with our values, that's what we're doing. And that's part of why the gym is such an important piece of this, because you're sacrificing that short-term pain in order to have that long-term gain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's so powerful and it's so profound and it's so cool to hear when somebody who's successful, who's, you know, crushing in every aspect of life says that, hey, I also fall down, but it helps me when I have others that'll help me get back up.
Yeah.
And it helps to know that you're there.
Yeah. And I mean, not only are you a fitness trainer, but you are very educated in relationships. So like, I mean, we've touched on this before, but having a great partner with you is extremely powerful, whether it's a gym partner or a life partner or a business partner. I guess maybe we just talked about this, but I think, and we're going all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I love it because, you know, you sent me something really, really, really cool and really beautiful about like you writing out basically your ideal relationship. And it was really powerful to read that. And I would just love you to share or at least touch on that a little bit about what, in your mind, what like a partner in a relationship should be and how someone should feel. Because I think we always are in these relationships sometimes and they're not actually meant to be for us. They're not actually healthy or good and they're actually toxic. So I would love to hear kind of what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, there's a lot of directions that we can go.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because in our society, there's not a lot of very good examples of what a happy, healthy relationship should be. And so in other aspects, there are a lot of really good mentors and role models. Hey, I can look up to this person for business. Hey, I can look up to this person for real estate. Hey, I can look up to this person for fitness. But it's really hard to get an idea of what their relationship is like, right? We live in a society that idolizes the wedding so much more than the love shared between the couple. And so instead of like actually like tapping into, hey, what are they doing? Like, how do I get to have a partnership like that? We tend to just kind of flounder and think that we just like, it's supposed to work with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we develop those attachment styles as kids with our first primary caregivers. And if we don't learn what it is that we're looking for, if we don't gain clarity around what it is that we want, we kind of end up in these relationships that are just like, we find somebody and we're like, no, that's not the right fit. And then, you know, we go through a few more and we get all this interest from people and you're like, no, I'm not really interested. And then you finally get this one person that like, oh yeah, that like, this is close. This is it. And then you go out for about a month, 2 months and you're like, nah, there's something wrong here too. And so we always have one foot out the door because we always think that there's this next person right around the corner that's going to be a better fit. And, you know, I think that social media has been a big portion of this because gives you access to all of these people. And I'm going all over the place here, but I promise I have a point.
No, I'm following.
We think that there's this illusion of options, that there's all these people who are out there who are going to fit what we're looking for. But in reality, what it is you can fall in love with anybody. It's just a matter of how much work am I willing to put in to make this work, and how honest and open and transparent and vulnerable am I willing to be to tell them exactly what I need, exactly what I want from them, and exactly how I'm feeling, and give them insight into my inner world so that they can either say, hey, I'm here for you and I want to do this with you, or hey, that's too much for me and I can't do that. And so writing down the relationship vision gave me clarity around what I wanted.
Yeah, tell us about this relationship vision, like what exactly it is, because I think it was, I've done this before. I think it's beautiful. So hearing more about it would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So having a relationship vision and truly like understanding what it is that you want. It's the same as having a goal of becoming a doctor. Hey, my goal is to become a doctor. I have a plan. Hey, I'm trying to get to the moon. I'm going to build a rocket ship so I could go to the moon. If you're trying to go to the moon, you're not going to collect the pieces for a boat. So you need to have that vision of, this is the relationship that I want. I want a partner who is loving, who is caring, who is kind, who is committed, who is loyal, who is respectful. I want somebody who wants to be with me, but also has their own life outside of me. So if something were to happen to me and I got busier, then their whole world doesn't come crashing down. Somebody who has other interests outside of fitness, right? When we talked about this a little bit earlier, and I was going to say that, during COVID, I had so many friends who their whole lives wrapped around fitness, around the gym, that they were depressed and they were distraught because they didn't know what to do with themselves. They're like, the gym is closed. Like their mental health went down the drain. And I'm like, dude, working out is easy. You go to the park, you go play outside, go ride a bike. Like, you can still get fitness in without having the gym. And so in partnerships, what we need to have is that mutual interdependence of like, hey, I love you and I am here for you all the time, but I also have my own life outside of you. So if something happens to me, I know that you're going to be okay. It's this idea of like, hey, this is your plant and this is my plant. I'm going to be watering my plant and I'm also going to be watering your plant. And I want you to water your plant and also water my plant at the same time, because if something happens that I can no longer water your plant, I know that you're going to be okay. And I know that I'm going to be okay.
Great. That's a great analogy. Wow.
Yeah.
Just make that up.
But the problem is we start looking at their plants. We're like, oh, you got some weeds over there. That's a little bit scary. And we start like nitpicking at their plants. Well, we also have weeds in our garden, Yeah. So it becomes this like game of judgment and blame and shame. And realistically, what it really needs to be is a place of curiosity. It's like, hey, is everything okay? Could I help you out? Like, what do you need from me?
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. And so, again, back to the vision, it comes down to knowing what you want, having that clarity, and then also being willing to set those boundaries and like stand your ground when people embody something that you don't want. So when you have that vision, you're like, hey, I'm looking for somebody who's loving, who's kind, who's loyal, who's genuine, who's got their own life, who's got their own friends, and you meet somebody and they don't fit those things, then you have to be willing to say, hey, like, you're a wonderful person, but we're not in alignment. We're not a good fit. And you have to be willing to say no to those people.
Yep. And it goes for friends too.
Yeah.
I mean, pivoting a little bit from a partner, but like even friends, if you're not aligned, if you're hanging out with people who are not aligned with where you want to be, they may not be there with you right now at that moment or where you're at, career wise, but they want to be there too because they're aligned with you. So much of this is like mindset, and so much of this is just, you have to get in the right mindset, and you can be in your mindset all you want, but you're right. You have to do it. And a lot of these people think, well, I'm positive. Why is my life not perfect? Well, you got to go do stuff.
Totally.
You got to use that positivity to create the change that you want in the world and in your life.
No, you're absolutely right. It's, and this is a little bit less metaphysical. It's the law of cause and effect, right? Like, if I were to throw this water on you, I'm causing something.
Yes.
And the effect is you're going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
And so
refresh. Yes, maybe pissed.
So people will talk it and they'll sit there and they're like, I'm positive, I'm manifesting, but then they don't actually take the action necessary to get the results that they're looking for, right? And more often than not, people don't realize the amount of action that's necessary in order to get the results that they're looking for, because they see all of this glorified stuff on social media and they're like, oh my gosh, this 23-year-old kid's making all this money and living the life and traveling on yachts. That's what I want to do. All he does is post to social media. So that's all I got to do. It's like, no, you don't see the error and the trials and the tribulations. And maybe his parents gave him $300,000 to get started. Like, you have no idea what happened behind that guy's life story. You have no idea what happened between the people who have that loving, committed partnership. They probably have had a lot of really big blowout fights that have led them to become so close. But we only glorify the positive and the things that we don't have. And so,
true. Well, that's all we see.
Right.
And that's a lot of all we see is really the good stuff. You know, people aren't posting like, man, I had a blowout, argument with my partner or my spouse. And it's like, they're talking about it. Like, no, you're not going to really see that. You're going to see the happy pictures of whatever.
Totally.
So it's misleading. It's really misleading. You talked about, writing a book. We've talked about, getting your Ph.D. Like, where's Austin going to be in like 3 years? Where do you see yourself?
Well, first I want to touch on one more thing that you just kind of touched there, right? So the one thing, and I would say that earlier I encouraged people to be present. Now what I want to encourage people to do is be positively vulnerable. Be willing to be humble and act with humility and put yourself out there and put yourself in those uncomfortable situations by being honest and transparent and talking about what's going on in your inner world, especially as men. There aren't enough outlets for that. And so what tends to happen is we bottle it up, and even a leaky faucet can drown somebody. So you need to have some sort of outlet, whether it's writing so nobody else has to know about it, whether it's a friend, whether it's, nowadays you have AI. Like, literally you could just go on and talk to a chatbot online and it'll help you work through whatever you're working through. And understanding that whatever gets repressed gets expressed is so powerful, because you can't repress these things. If you touch a stove and you keep your hand on it, eventually your hand is going to burn off, right? So you just need to touch that stuff, be like, no, that's not for me. Get it out, acknowledge it, understand how it happened, why it happened, and then take action to move through it so it doesn't happen ever again. To answer your question.
It's very common where men don't usually like to vocalize how they're feeling and keep it bottled up, but they'll mask it with something else.
Absolutely.
And you're right. What's repressed will be expressed. And I was that, I was definitely that. I was, but the thing is, you don't exactly know you're repressing it at first.
Right.
You just feel like something's wrong, something's off. And you begin to just start feeling not like your normal self.
Totally.
You begin to either be angry or irritable or whatever it is. I was an angry person.
Yeah.
And I knew it was the relationship that I was in before that was just, every day was just not good, and I didn't know how to get it out. And if I did, I'd be, yelled at or whatever, and it was just never pretty. So having a healthy outlet, but it's also, you got to do what you need to do to make it better.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes the really, really, really tough part.
Totally.
A lot of people, men and women, it's difficult to do that. And because sometimes it means breaking up with your partner or your boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, it means quitting that job. It means doing something that's really difficult. But like, someone said to me, think about how this decision will impact you in 5 years. Will you still be happy in 5 years if you're at this job or in this relationship? Or think about in 5 years how it's going to affect you. You're going to be totally different person. Yeah. Like, that relationship will be a blip in time that you never think about again. That quitting the job, it's a blip in time that you're never going to think about again. You can think about how much more ultimately happy you will become in 5 years when you just change that one thing. It's just, it helped me when I was going through something. I was like, I need to do this because I know it's going to be difficult for a minute, but in 5 years, I'm going to be like, holy shit, thank God I'm out of that or done with this or whatever, and then I guess that's what I'm trying to tell people is like, yes, it may seem hard, but like, think about it in 5 years. Is it going to actually, are you going to still be sitting there at home sad that you broke up with your, whoever?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're going to be fine after 6 months. Like, you're going to be just fine,
Totally.
And if you really, really, really want to talk to that person again, then you have the ability to go talk to the person again. It's all good.
If it's meant to be.
If it's meant to be, it's be. So
yeah. So there's two things there, right? Like the first one, thank you for sharing about your breakup with your ex, because that's the stuff that people don't hear. It's the stuff that people don't want to talk about. They don't want to share. And if you can put that into a positive light, hey, he's a great person, but he wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
You can can move on and know that it's going to be okay, that your karma is totally clean. And so, more often than not, people always frame that in a negative light. And if you can reframe it to be positive, what's the lesson here? You can change your mindset. And so for you, if you had, looked at your values and you had looked at his values and you had looked at your relationship and your vision, you probably would have realized that you were a mismatch from that perspective. Hey, our visions and our values don't line. So then you have to be like, all right, well, hey, we have to be big enough to walk away from this and understand that this isn't a good fit.
Yep.
And then the second thing you talked about is perfect because it segues into the question you asked me previously. And it talks about, it's alignment coaching. And what you do is you zoom out and you look at the bigger picture. Hey, what are we fighting about right now? What is the bigger picture that's surrounding this? Like, what is the actual problem here? And if you can zoom out, give that 5-year perspective, give that bigger lens and get curious about what's going on. Hey, actually, I'm not really that upset with you. I'm upset with what's going on in my own life and my own career. And if there's any way that you can help me get whatever I need to do in this department, then all of our problems will be solved. Then you can become, it's us against the problem. You're on the same team looking at the problem and saying, hey, I'm here with you. There may not be anything that you can do, but if you can just sit here in the mud with me while I suck this up, then that's the best that you can do as a partner. You just want to know that, hey, I got you. Whatever happens, I'm right here.
Yep.
And if we can be that for our partners, for our friends, for our clients, you know what I mean, in a certain way, then the world would be a much better place. And I firmly believe that the betterment of one person is the betterment of mankind. And so it's kind of this like duality of life. And so ultimately it's like the good will always outweigh the bad, but it's all about perspective and it's all about zooming out and putting us on the same side and being curious about what's actually going on.
That zoom out effect. I think I just heard on another podcast too about like the zoom out effect. Mm-hmm. It's like, what are we actually talking about? Or what's actually going to happen next? Let's zoom out for a second. And it goes in business and it goes in life too. So
yeah, it's hard for us to get rid of our egos. We want to focus on what's right and what's fair. And in reality, what's right and what's fair usually doesn't matter. It's, hey, where are we right now? Where are we trying to go? And how can we get there? And if you can take that step together, then your life is going to be much better off.
Yep. Austin, let's hear where you're going to be in 3 years. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah,
I'm curious where Austin Santee knows he's going to be in 3 years. Where's life taking you?
It's cool because I get to give you my big picture vision.
Yeah, love it.
My first book will be done middle of next year. I just picked an editor, so I'm really excited about that.
That's cool.
And it's called The Enlightened Man, Building Wealth, Wisdom, and Well-Being in the Modern Age. And, there are a lot of great books on money, on relationships, on psychology, on self-help. But I don't feel like there's one book that's like, hey, this is how you can be a good man. This is how you can be a better person. And, I'm a man, so it's easier for me to write a book about men.
Yeah.
But women will benefit from reading this too. And there's a lot of things that they can gain insights from reading my book as well. And it's really cool because it's like an amalgamation of me. It's like, hey, these are the 15 years of my life and it's my life story. And, people look at me and they think that I'm this buff, dumb guy, like buff, pretty guy, And in reality, they miss out on an opportunity to get to know me, to get to know
just the buff,
my trials and tribulations, and to realize that I came from a broken home and that I had to overcome a lot. And the reason that I am the person that I am today is because of the fact that I stood there and just continued to take on adversity after adversity. And it's so funny because I have people who will, my family members are like, I don't know how you turned out so great. And I will look at them like, is that supposed to be a compliment? Like, because, they knew the home that I grew up in. And I'm like, I didn't have any other choice. Like in life, you don't get to just give up. So, my dad, he, bless his heart, he was a single father raising 2 kids. His vision for me was go to school so you don't end up like me. And it wasn't like a testament of his inadequacy, but like his vision of a better future for me. You know what I mean? Like he knew that going to school was the way out for me to have a better life. And here I am now getting my Ph.D., kind of fulfilling that prophecy. And it's ironic how everything happens the way that it's supposed to. And so for me, finishing the book is going to be a nice stamp on that. But in that process, I really do want to help men build their lives, to be the person for them, to like inspire them and guide them when they get lost, to kind of shine the light in the dark. And, when I was 16, my dad lost his job. And we had to live in his truck for, a couple of weeks before I figured out where I was going to go. And I went and lived with my older sister, and it was such a profound life transformation. And I learned that there's a different way to live, that they had access to resources. And I started going to proms and homecomings, and I looked forward to doing those things. And I grew out of my shell. And that transformation is possible for everyone. They just have to believe that it's possible. They just have to know that it's a possibility for them. And so, that's what I want to do, is I want to inspire guys to realize that they are the creators of their own lives. And if they can believe it, if it's humanly possible, then they can do it too. And so the book is a part of that process. And then now I'm getting into coaching it's called Positive Intelligence. It's kind of a blend of like positive psychology and emotional intelligence coaching. And it teaches people how to be more resilient, more present, and more focused and intentional towards what they're trying to do in their lives, so that they can be better partners, better friends, better self-love.
Yeah.
And essentially what happens is once you start doing all of those things, you get an idea of who you are and what you want out of life. And then you can start taking one step at a time to getting to that point. And I want to be that bridge for people to really understand where they are, where they're trying to go, and how they can get there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who really have no idea where they want to go.
Yeah.
They're kind of in this, what's it called? Hamster wheel, just kind of moving and not knowing where they're going. Yeah. And I think that's amazing that, there are life coaches, there are people out there that do this, but I think you have like a tribe that you attract and that you're so good with, like we've been working out together, we've been working together, and it's great because, yeah, you have helped me inspire me to, oh yeah, this is where I need to go. This is how I have that conversation, or this is what I need to do. So that's great. I mean, that's a huge component to people's happiness, is understanding where am I going next, or what is lacking, and how do I improve that? And it's awesome that that's what you're going into.
Absolutely. Yeah. And people just want somebody that believes in them, that tells them they can do it. Like my best friends are the ones that tell me when I'm fucking up. Hey, Seth, you haven't been going to the gym. You haven't been, building this community that you say you want to build. When's the last time you did a development property? What's going on? I believe in you. Why don't you believe in you? Right? Like that's what we need to be for all of our friends and for all of our, and it doesn't have to be for everybody. You know what I mean? You can only be so many things for so many people.
Yeah.
But be it for your best friend.
Yeah.
Be it for yourself.
Be it for yourself.
Be it for yourself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is so true. And this is so real.
And it's not easy by any means. You know what I mean? Like I still get knocked down, but the thing is the better you get, the better your life gets.
Mm-hmm.
You build yourself up to where those setbacks don't quite hurt as bad anymore, because you've built up that resilience. You've built up the ability to handle adversity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm going to stand here and know that no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to make it out to the other side and I'm going to be okay. And I got people there that are willing to walk that path with me.
Amazing. Austin, where can people find you online these days?
So my website is austinsantee.com, and you can find me on Instagram at Austin Santee, as well as pretty much any other social media platform at Austin Santee. So
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun. We got deeper than I was even expecting, and I love it. So thank you again.
I had a feeling we would go there.
I think, yeah, we always do.
But thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and I love you to death, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds in store for you.
Love you too, man. Thanks again. Bye, guys.
Hey there. If you like this episode or want a real estate connection in San Diego, find me on Instagram and subscribe so you don't miss any of these fun episodes. See you next time.